the boring human. Chapter 1. The Alien in the Forest.
Warning, 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 you are boring.
Theodore's consciousness fluttered back to life amidst the soft hum of an alien forest, its ambient sounds unlike anything his memory could grasp. He lay on the mossy ground, the air filled with the scent of unfamiliar flora. Above, the canopy of towering purple trees stretched into the sky, their leaves filtering the sunlight into a surreal lavender hue. He tried to rise, his body heavy and uncoordinated, and found himself clad in a suit that defied immediate understanding. It hugged his form like a second skin, part jumpsuit, part armor, and yet it was as comfortable as it was strange, almost seeming to pulse gently against his skin. On his right arm, a large armband encircled his wrist, its surface dark and unresponsive. He tapped the display futilely, hoping for some clue to his situation, but it remained obstinately blank. As he inspected himself, he discovered several small, hard implants under his skin, mysteries embedded in his flesh, their purpose and origin as lost to him as his own identity. Only one thing was clear. His name was Theodore. Beyond that, nothing. Next to him lay a metal sphere, about 10 meters across, its surface smooth and unyielding. It hummed briefly under his touch, a sound that seemed to resonate with the very air around him, but otherwise it gave no sign of function or purpose. With no visible means of interaction, Theodore felt an unsettling blend of fascination and frustration. It was as if the sphere, like his suit and implants, was a piece of a puzzle he could not remember starting. Hunger gnawed at him, a more immediate concern than the mystery of his attire or the sphere. He set off into the forest, hoping to find food, water, or some sign of civilization. The forest was alien, the vegetation and wildlife nothing like Earth's, and his search for sustenance proved futile. As desperation began to set in, Theodore realized he could no longer find his way back to the sphere. The forest, initially intriguing, now felt like a labyrinth designed to entrap him. Just as despair was about to overwhelm him, a scream pierced the alien quiet, a sound unmistakably born of terror and pain. Instinctively, he ran towards it, bursting into a clearing where a scene of violence unfolded before him. 4 alien figures, humanoid and ethereal in their beauty, were locked in a desperate struggle with a creature that seemed all teeth and malice. The aliens, standing tall with pale blue-orange skin and long, prehensile tails, bore an elegance that belied their current ferocity. Their attire, a blend of intricacy and practicality, resembled silk tailored into suits, a stark contrast to the brutal nature of their conflict. Before Theodore could fully process the scene, the creature dispatched 3 of the aliens with a horrifying display of strength, their orange blood spraying the air like a macabre fountain. The beast, wounded but undeterred, turned its attention to the last of the aliens, its body coiling for the killing blow. Acting on impulse, Theodore grabbed a sizable rock and hurled it at the creature, striking it and causing it to reel back with a pained howl. The beast, deterred by this unexpected resistance, limped away into the forest, leaving behind a silence punctuated only by the heavy breaths of the survivors. Theodore approached the remaining alien, intent on offering help, but the effort proved too much for his weakened body. Blood trickled from his nose, a stark red against his skin, and he collapsed, consciousness fading. In the moments of lucidity that followed, Theodore saw the alien woman kneeling over him, her words a comforting melody that he could not understand. Shadows of other figures danced at the edge of his vision, and then there was the sensation of movement, of being transported. When next he woke, Theodore found himself in a Spartan room, a mattress on the floor his only comfort. Beside him, a tray of strange fruits offered a semblance of hospitality. But the sight that greeted him as he turned chilled him to his core, a skeleton, horned and humanoid, its bones picked clean and stained with dried blood. Panic surged within him, a primal fear of what his fate might be among these alien beings. Despite his act of heroism, he could not shake the feeling of dread. "That's the thanks you get for helping," he thought bitterly as he stared at the remains, wondering if he was looking at his own future. He didn't know what to do. Theodore sat there, the weight of his predicament pressing down on him as heavily as the alien air. Hunger gnawed at him, an insistent reminder of his vulnerability in this strange world. The fruit on the tray looked inviting, yet alien. Could it be poison? He debated internally, his mind racing through scenarios of starvation against the risk of unknown toxins. Finally, desperation tipped the scales. Better to risk poison than to surely starve, he concluded, reaching for the fruit with a hesitant hand. The taste was unexpected, a bitter, sour flavor that puckered his mouth, yet the soft flesh of the fruit was oddly satisfying. It was filled with juice, which slaked his thirst as effectively as any drink might have. As the initial discomfort of the taste subsided, Theodore felt a gradual resurgence of strength. He looked around the sparse room, his eyes landing on the barred window high on the wall. A plan began to form. Perhaps he could see where he was, get some bearings. The skull of the horned humanoid seemed the right height to serve as a makeshift stool. He positioned the skull carefully and climbed atop it, but the ancient bones were not meant to bear his weight. They cracked beneath him, sending him tumbling down with a thud that echoed off the barren walls. A short scream from the other side momentarily raised his hopes. Was someone there? His gaze quickly found a small device with a lens in the corner of the room. They've been watching, he realized, a mix of violation and curiosity swirling within. As he picked himself up, a newfound realization dawned on him. He was feeling stronger, more agile. Could the fruit have imbued him with some form of enhanced strength? Or was it something else? Determined, he approached the window again, this time relying solely on his own strength. To his astonishment, he hoisted himself up with ease, peering out into the world beyond. The view that greeted him was breathtaking. A vast herd of creatures, similar to the one he had encountered but smaller and seemingly docile, roamed freely. Cattle, he thought, marveling at the peaceful scene that contrasted so starkly with his earlier encounter. It was then that he noticed how effortlessly he moved, a lightness in his limbs that felt unnatural. A realization struck him. The low gravity of this planet was disorienting, but his suit had somehow been compensating, normalizing his movements to mimic a gravity he was accustomed to. His contemplation was abruptly interrupted by a voice, omnipresent and mechanical. Translation matrix incomplete. Theodore spun around, searching for the source. "Show yourself," he demanded, but the only replies were fragmented phrases. Missing content. Incomplete structure. Followed by a terse, "Please wait." Wait for what? Theodore muttered under his breath, frustration mounting. With nothing else to do, he tidied the room as best he could, moving the bones to a corner and covering them with cloth. "Sorry, mate. If I join you, I hope I end up better," he whispered, a grim attempt at humor in the face of uncertainty. Settling down on the mattress, he braced himself for whatever came next. Suddenly, the door creaked open, and the alien he had saved peered inside. Her expression was shy, tentative, and before Theodore could react, she tossed a cube about 20 centimeters to a side at his feet, then retreated, closing and locking the door behind her. He picked up the cube, which sprang to life upon his touch, emitting the alien language in a stream of incomprehensible chatter. Holding the cube, Theodore attempted communication. "Hello, my name is Theodore. I don't remember anything else." But the cube continued in its alien tongue, oblivious to his plea. Confusion and a sense of isolation washed over him. He had heard and understood a voice before. Why was this any different? Were they torturing him with incomprehensibility? Despite the haze clouding his thoughts, pieces of the puzzle began to align, slowly forming a picture of his situation. He clutched the cube, a potential key to unlocking the mysteries of this alien world and perhaps a bridge to understanding his captors. With cautious optimism, he awaited the next move in this chess game of survival and discovery, where every piece and player remained shrouded in mystery. As Theodore sat in the dimly lit room, his mind raced with the day's revelations and enigmas. The sphere he had awakened next to loomed large in his thoughts. Was it his vessel to this alien world, or perhaps a beacon that had called him here? The uncertainty gnawed at him, exacerbated by the realization that he lacked even a clear image of himself. His reflection in the sphere's mirrored surface had revealed a man in his mid-30s, slightly chubby with a short beard, but beyond that, his identity was a blur, his past a void. His ruminations were abruptly interrupted by the voice, now mockingly stating, "Warning, you are boring." The words jolted him. He remembered hearing this phrase upon awakening in the forest, a detail previously lost in the fog of disorientation. Anger and confusion swirled within him. Was this voice mocking him? Was some unseen observer treating his plight as entertainment, playing with him as one might with a toy? Before he could spiral further into these troubling thoughts, the cube began to emit melodic notes, followed by a dialogue in the alien language. Theodore's attention snapped to the device. It reminded him of a radio, though how he knew this, or what a radio should even look like, remained just out of reach in his fragmented memory. His spirits lifted momentarily as he exclaimed, "Ah, this is entertainment!" But his realization deepened when a fuzzy black and white image appeared on one side of the cube, depicting two aliens in conversation. "No, this is like a TV," he corrected himself. The concept of television somehow familiar, yet distant. For hours, Theodore was engrossed by the cube, deciphering its operation through trial and error. He discovered how to switch channels, adjust volume, and power the device on and off. It became a window into the alien culture, offering him talk shows, movies, and glimpses of daily life, all unintelligible yet fascinating. The experience was oddly comforting, a distraction from his isolation and confusion. As evening approached, the voice returned, this time clear and devoid of mockery. Translation matrix complete. Inference matrix complete. Vocabulary database sufficient. Compute resources now at 7% and 50% available. Hello, Theodore. The announcement was a beacon of hope in the darkness, suggesting a breakthrough in communication, though its full implications were yet to unfold. Before he could respond, the voice of the alien woman sounded from behind the door, her words suddenly intelligible. "You probably have no idea what I'm saying, but tomorrow we'll go to the city of Sinai, and Carl will know how to deal with you. Maybe we'll even find a way to thank you." The ability to understand her was a revelation, stirring a mix of excitement and apprehension within him. "Deal with me?" The phrase echoed ominously, yet the context hinted at gratitude, not threat. Lying on his mattress, Theodore faced a night filled with more questions than answers. The voice had communicated directly with him, so maybe if he answered, he would get some insight into his predicament. "Hello, who am I speaking to?" But the answer after a few seconds of wait was a complete letdown. Unknown. As he drifted towards sleep, his last conscious thought was, tomorrow.